Live from soaked, rainy Southern California, Los Angeles. It is cold, it is rainy, and it is a cold, cold, dark day for one Donna Adelson, who thought that she was going to get to just fly away in the sunset, go off to wonderful Vietnam, have some banh mi, have some bak kwan, via Dubai, maybe go see that beautiful Palm Island that they've built. But alas, she did not make it. So we'll get into that. Plus, by the way, Taylor Swift is making quite an outing in New York City these days. And you know what? I couldn't care less, but apparently New York Magazine can. And I'm headed back to Ohio beginning of December. Should I go see my father in prison or not? That is the question that I want us all to weigh in on. I'm Collier Landry. Let's get into it.
Testimony continued today in the most notorious criminal trial in...
When I was 12 years old, my testimony sent my father to prison for murdering my mother. I decided at an early age that our trauma should not be what defines us. It's what we choose to do with it that does. I'm here to share my unique perspective on true crime, mental health, society, and popular culture, albeit with a slight sense of humor. I'm Collier Landry, and welcome to my show.
Mover Nation, live on a Wednesday from, like I said, rainy, cold, Southern California. It is so gray outside, I can't even see myself. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. This is the Collier Landry Show, where I offer you my unique perspective and move you past the headlines of true crime, mental health, and society and pop culture, albeit with a slight sense of humor. Wherever you are and however you may be listening or watching, thank you for making us a part of your day. Guys, what a week it has been for planned escapes. And I know there's been a lot about this Adelson case because Charlie Adelson was convicted last Tuesday. And everybody was wanting to know what's going to happen with Donna, what's going to happen with Wendy. And I'm going to do another video, which is going to come out a little later tonight, about some exclusive stuff that I have from some interviews that I've done way back in the day about Donna Adelson's involvement in the family and with Dan Markel. So stay tuned to that because you'll get that straight from the horse's mouth. That is Ruth Markel, his mother, who is probably feeling pretty good right now. I mean, not pretty good. That's a really actually not the most accurate of statements. This whole thing is very unfortunate. And, as I discussed last week, there are a lot of ancillary victims, which is always my take on true crime, right? We get caught up with the salacious headlines. We want justice. We want to see the bad guys go to prison. We want to see the victims get some sort of restitution. And sadly, that's not really how it works. I'm here to tell you straight from the horse's mouth that it is a really hard row to hoe and a really tough hill to climb. It's almost like you feel like Sisyphus pushing that boulder up the mountain a lot of times when dealing with this type of thing. And, I feel bad for the Markels and what they've had to go through. And it's been almost 10 years since this occurred. But alas, Donna Adelson thought that she was going to get away. And one of the most interesting things, and I know some of you have been critical of my take on the case. I didn't get certain facts right. I thought Catherine McBenoit had worked for the facility or the family dental practice, but alas, she was just put on the payroll by Donna Adelson. I get some of the details mixed up. A lot of people, and I want to share this with you guys because I know that we all dive into these true crime cases, and some of you guys have been watching this thing and following this case for years, and I absolutely appreciate your perspective. I will tell you one thing, as someone who's been through all of this, there are only a couple of people that know the truth, know like what really happened. And that is Dan Markel, who's no longer with us. That is Charlie Adelson, who is incarcerated, and the two hitmen and Catherine McBenoit and now Donna Adelson and the Adelson family. It's a very small circle of people that actually know what happened in this situation. So we should all take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. That's just my caution to that. I think we get caught up in a lot of the minutia in true crime. I was in a documentary earlier this year done by Vice. We talked about America's obsession with true crime. And I think we all get wrapped up in the nitty gritty and the details. But the fact of the matter is that none of these people are telling the truth. They're not going to tell the truth to us. You know, as someone who relentlessly investigated and went through my own personal journey, going as far to try to get an answer out of my father and make a film about it, to get that answer, you never get the truth. Like, these people are never going to admit to what they did fully. You know, it's so bad. But this case really goes down the rabbit hole. And one of the things that I find rather ironic, I think a lot of us have, is that Donna Adelson was having jailhouse calls with her son, Charlie Adelson, post-conviction. So within the last week. So she was arrested on Monday night. So it's Wednesday. So it was 48 hours ago. But she was having these calls, and apparently, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but apparently I heard that she's a lawyer. So I may or may not be mistaken on that. You can let me know in the comments below. But I heard that, yes, Collier is on. Is Collier not on? Do we not see Collier? Oh, my goodness. Hey, Collier in chat. I got to stop here. Are we not seeing me? Is that not? I mean, I look like I'm live. Sometimes the internet gets wacky here because it's raining and whatnot. So, Old Lady Snoop, thank you so much. You are my Collier is my priority now. I love that. We see you. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Karen Fan. Okay, so back to what I was saying. And correct me if I'm wrong. Was she a lawyer or not? Was Donna Adelson a lawyer? This is what I heard. So let me see. So she had these conversations, these jailhouse conversations, which of course are not privileged communication. Even she's not his lawyer, right? And she said that she was feeling like she either had two options, and she was preparing trusts for her grandchildren and getting things in order, and was either preparing to, as the YouTubes like, unaliving herself or fleeing to a non-extradition country. Now, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background because the second part of the plan sounds like something that we all could possibly do, right? So I'm going to tell you about, so I have a very good friend who is a federal agent. He's worked for the Secret Service, the FBI, and for the last probably 12 years that we've been friends, he's been working for the Department of Homeland Security, maybe a little bit more, actually. I may have met him when he had just started with DHS. So maybe he's been there about 15 years. Anyways, this guy knows how it works. So 2017, end of 2017, I'm premiering the first premiere of A Murder in Mansfield in New York City. And my friend lives in New York. I said, hey, man, I let him know a couple weeks in advance. I said, hey, I'm getting tickets. I got a ticket for you for the screening and a date, whatever. And he was super excited. And he messaged me. It was during the screening, or I think it was right before the screening, actually, now that I think about it, and said, I can't make it, bro. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, a work thing came up. And he came to the after party later to see me. And a couple of days later, because I had a couple of screenings, and he came out to meet me, and he explained to me the whole story, which was somebody and he was working in a division that deals with child victims. They refer to it as CP. I'm not going to get into what that is, but you can use your imagination. It's a very tough thing for him to like have to. It was a really tough division for him to work in for Homeland Security. A gentleman had taken the life of a child and had fled the country 15 years to a non-extradition country, Venezuela, to be specific, which I don't know if you guys know the sort of socio-political environment or around that time, so that's 5-6 years ago. We were not on very good terms with Venezuela. I don't think we still are. That dates back to the Chavez regime, and it's not Hugo anymore. It's his brother, I believe, that controls the country. Maybe there's a lot of oil at stake there. And they're sort of, I believe even George Bush referred to him as part of the axis of evil. I might be mistaken on that, way back when he was president, George W. Bush. However, we didn't have good relations with them. This gentleman was coming back into the United States, had booked a ticket into the United States. And what had happened is there were federal agents that were in Venezuela to go extract this guy. And he came back to the United States and they were greeting him at the airport. So unless you are somebody like Julian Assange, who is a very high profile person, right? I was at the Colombian embassy in London and outside screaming, Julian, Julian, because I thought it was kind of humorous. It was right by Harrods, right down the street. I have my Harrods mug on my desk. Look at that. Harrods mug from London. He was in the, Ecuadorian embassy, not the Colombian, Ecuadorian embassy, where he was a guest in London. 2 days after I was there, he was yanked out of that thing. Donna Adelson is not someone who is going to get that type of protection. So the idea that she was going to make this getaway and live happily ever after is utterly fanciful. And as I like to say, and which will be a t-shirt in my collection on my store, never underestimate the predictability of stupidity. And I think we all saw that unfold there. Having a jailhouse conversation, talking about leaving the country, making plans. There was even talk that federal agents had been tailing her for a while. Obviously, they were tailing the family for a while, and they were very well aware of what was going to happen. Again, I never underestimate the predictability of stupidity. I think that a lot of these people who commit these crimes, and I would say Alec Murdaugh would be one of these people in the last year, who perpetrate these crimes and think that they are somehow above the law. They are smarter than everyone else and not even some dumb cop. And, when I usually go back to Ohio, I go see David Messmore, who was the detective from my father's case. And he even talks about how my father, he'll refer to it as, he's like, yeah, these dumb, stupid cops aren't going to figure me out. They're not going to be hip to what I'm doing. I got news for you. They all get caught in the end. It's technology and the way that people track. You can be tracked on the internet, your movements. I mean, just don't do bad stuff. Don't do bad stuff anyways. Like, forget the fear of getting caught and facing some sort of penalty. Let's just not hurt each other. Let's just not, victimize one another. And, let's stand up for the victims. Anyways, rant over about her, but oy vey, what a just absolute thing. Thank you so much, Old Lady Snoop. Yes, please like, subscribe. She's yelling too. It's all caps, yelling. Ah! No, I'm kidding. What a great deal. Yes, it is a great deal. And if you join my Patreon or you become a channel member, you can also see that. I posted my first video ever, as promised to my channel members and my Patreon subscribers, that I would play a little music for y'all, because you see the guitars in the background and I have all of that, and I'm getting comfortable with this because a lot of this, what I'm doing project wise, is creating something out of my story, like a one-man show, which I want, having done a TED Talk and having traveled around the world spoken, and doing speaking gigs, I'm very excited about. So it was a good way for me to push myself out there. It was terrible, by the way, absolutely horrific. It was so much better before I started filming, but nonetheless, it inspires me to do a lot more of that. So for those of you that haven't seen that, Tina Luffman, I hope you are feeling better, by the way. I remember you messaged and said that you were not feeling well. Welcome, Court McNeil. Hello, Kim Shorin. Old Lady Snoop, again, thank you so much for being there. And Catherine Billinghurst, all the way from beautiful Australia. There is a new show, by the way, on television called Sydney NCIS, which is like an NCIS spinoff. Like, I don't know how many of those there are. Yeah. So, I have for you guys who are channel members, I'm going to be putting out a survey in the next couple of days, where you guys can weigh in on the content that I'm creating and weigh in on the lives, because I'm going to start spacing these lives out because it's a YouTube thing. I won't be doing back-to-back lives. My new plan is to do the Wednesday wrap which is what we're on now. And then we will have the Sunday sessions. And those will probably most likely be in the early evening on Sundays. I'm figuring that out. But channel members, there's going to be a survey is going to go out to you guys and Patreon members as well. And you guys can weigh in on that. And then I'll open that survey up to the rest of you as well later on after the members weigh in. But so thank you so much for your support. It greatly helps. Speaking of support, if you guys are doing any holiday shopping, the link below that is scrolling across the screen. So I have an Amazon shop. I've been an Amazon influencer for like a year. And I really, if that's for the people that you go on Amazon, you see that are doing the things and saying, I love this product. Check this product out. They do the little videos. They do them on YouTube, on social media. I'm one of those people. I just don't do those videos. But it is a unique way for you guys to, you click the link, it'll take you to my store, and then you just shop on Amazon. And I earn a commission from wherever you get. It is not a huge commission, but every little bit helps. It's a great way to support this channel and it's have no financial cost to you other than what you're buying on Amazon. It doesn't mark things up. It's just it's just you buy stuff on Amazon. And I wish that it would apply to me so I could use it for myself because I buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. But yeah, and on my store, I also have little products that I'm into and things that I recommend that, like health products and facial products and things that I'm into that you guys can check out if you so choose. And if not, you just shop on Amazon like regular. But I would, if you guys wouldn't mind, please consider supporting me that way. There's also a link in the description box below. You just click on it. It's either goes from my website to Amazon, or you can click the direct link that is in the ticker scrolling across the screen right now. So I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much, because holidays are upon us, and maybe one of these days I will be doing that. So Karen Fan, I'll be hawking products on Amazon. Just kidding. Or maybe QVC. You never know. Karen Fan, this is Movie Phone. Hold on. Movie Phone? Movie A Murder in Mansfield. Okay, it's on Movie Phone? That's interesting. I don't know where this thing goes out. My contract is over, so I don't know where it's all going. But Karen Fan, thank you so much for promoting the Patreon. If you join the Patreon, the film is in the Patreon. So if you join even at the lowest level, it's on there. You can also purchase it in the links below as well. A Murder in Mansfield. All, like I said, all goes to support this program. Okay. So also one of the things we're doing is I'm going to be doing a movie club, and that's for channel members, Patreon members, a movie club or a TV club or whatever it is, documentary club. It'll be sort of a thing. I'll assign it at the beginning of the month or middle of the month. We'll talk about it at the end, because I do live meet and greets the last Sunday of every month. So there will be one a few days after Thanksgiving coming up. I guess that's next week. Wow, the months and time just flies. So for December, we will do some cool stuff, and I'll start that movie club up for everyone who participates in the channel. Sorry, I'm doing a lot of housekeeping here, guys. I apologize. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about with people, and you guys can, honestly, if you are a channel member and you are wanting to be a part of the meet and greets, the links are always in there. I'm doing it now for every level that you guys sign up at. Just to incorporate everyone. We have a great time on these meet and greets, by the way. But I want to talk to you guys about surviving twin flames. And I'm going to do a separate video about this. But have any of you seen this Netflix series? It came out last week. And as someone who is a documentary filmmaker and who's been very involved with documentaries, I was really sucked into this thing. And I have shared it with I've shared it with Roberta Blevins, who was a guest on this channel not too long ago. She was a recent guest on Survivor Squad. She hosts the podcast Life After MLM, and she was a part of the Lula Rich documentary series on Amazon. I texted her, I'm watching, I'm like, have you seen this stuff? Anyways, apparently there's two different documentaries. There's an article in Vanity Fair. There's something called Desperately Seeking Partner, I believe, or Desperately Seeking Partner, I believe, is the other one. That one was done through Amazon, and there's another one that's coming out. About this, yeah, let's just call it what it is. It's a cult, this twin flames thing. And without getting too much into it, because like I said, I'm going to cover this in another video. I just have to figure out copyright with YouTube, because I talked to a good friend of mine who does movie reviews. I'm like, how are you able to put that? Because I put the trailer in I was doing some tests, put the trailer in, but I wasn't sure if it would work or not. And then I got a copyright strike, and he's like, oh yeah, you got to do it this way. So I got to figure all that out. But Twin Flames, let me tell you something. It is terrifying. And there's another documentary I talked about, and I'll probably revisit it. It's called The Love Fraud. That was on Showtime. I think that came out in 2021. It did come out in 2021. About another person who was a guy who literally was taking advantage of people, much like a la the Tinder swindler. If you guys haven't seen that before, that's utterly terrifying. Cat Loves Catskills. Thank you so much for buying a super sticker. I really appreciate it. This Twin Flames thing. So Twin Flames, or Twin Flames Universe, was a Facebook group, and it's a cult. Let's just call it what it is. And basically, it started, it's been around for a long time, since like 2016, 2017. And obviously during the pandemic, all of these things just went bonkers because of our, lack of connection with people during COVID and being, isolated and away from society in general, right? So it really took off then, but before that it was quite popular. And basically what they claim is that we all have a twin flame, which I've heard this before. I actually did a short film called Twin Flames, ironically, with Wilmer Valderrama. If you guys know who he is, he plays, what is it, on Fez on That 70s Show. I don't think he's a Scientologist, by the way. Very nice guy. He was very nice to work with. But we did this short film called Twin Flames, which I'm sure has not seen the light of day, by the way. Shot that right before the pandemic. This Twin Flames universe. So it's we all have this twin flame that's out there in the ether. It's our life partners, who we're meant to be with. That's our equal, one soul staring back into another, all that wonderful gushy stuff, right? That we're all looking for in life, right? And they just sort of take this to like the next level, and it becomes cultish. This is a family, this is like a husband and wife in Michigan. And so, I'm from Ohio. So there's a rivalry of Ohio and Michigan. And now I'm like, yeah, of course, this is why we hate Michigan people. I'm kidding. But a little bit. But it's more of a football rivalry than a personal rivalry, by the way. It's all about college football, for those of you who don't know. So, there's a couple, they live in Michigan, and they basically run this Facebook group. They run this website. You sign up to be able to find your twin flame, and they select your twin flame for you. And it is so random and so random and so weird. Yeah, it's just weird. There is a young girl, her name is Marley, I believe. Marley. And she is in the film, and she's 19 years old, and she is very new to the group, and she was referred through her, I think it's her sister. I didn't quite pick up what their relation was. They look like they're sisters, but I think that maybe it was just my imagination running wild. But basically, they're like, did you have a connection with this person? Did you have a connection with them? Okay, great. That's your twin flame. And they'll randomly just pick people. And she was explaining how she met this guy on Facebook, and they're like, that's your twin flame. And then she talks to him, and then she comes back to the group and she says, well, I can't see him because he's gotten in trouble with the law. So he can't leave the state for a year. It was a drug charge. It was like all this bad stuff. And she was feeling that this guy was a bit lecherous and a bit just creepy in general. And they're like, no, you've got to go move up to Washington State and be with him. There's a lot of, all of these high control groups. This is how they operate, right? And there's the one messianic person, or person with the messianic syndrome, and then everyone else sort of follows that. And this guy even goes as far as they start to try to make it a religion. It has all these different genesis in this documentary, and it's simply terrifying. And, it starts out with people just really wanting to have a genuine connection with someone, and it spirals into this whole madness of them selecting partners for people and telling them, instructing them to go be with this person, and this is your twin flame, and you need to make it work at all costs. And then there are people that have their relationships with these people, There's this one young woman, I believe her name is Lauren, and she starts explaining to the group, like, this is my ex-boyfriend. We broke up. And they're like, that's your twin flame. You need to get him at all costs. Well, she tells him this, and he files a restraining order. She ends up going out randomly to for her 30th birthday to a club, and he happens to be there, and he calls the police. She gets arrested. She goes to jail. And because of this group, she had isolated herself from this. Remember I told you I wasn't going to tell you all this stuff? I'm telling you all this stuff. It is what it is. She goes to this club, and then she ends up getting arrested because of this group. She's alienated her family. She's cut them off because they're like, your family doesn't support you. And they're encouraging stalking-like behavior. There are many people that talk about this in the documentary. And it has many, many evolutions. It is very, very disturbing. And then it goes into this whole thing that they're going to start a religion. Oh, and by the way, let me get into the meat and potatoes of this. What they do is they train you as a coach. So you sign up for your courses. You're paying money every month to be a part of this, and they make you a coach, which then you start coaching people using their teachings, but putting on these airs of who and who you aren't. And, oh, love is working for me. Because honestly, like, if you go and see a coach, right? And I've done coaching for people. I've gone to life coaches. I've gone to people who help. I was talking to somebody who has a writing partner who's a coach, who's a WGA multi-Emmy award winning writer. And her coach is this person. And so she goes to her and all this, coaches are very, very valuable. But these people are, but you want to make sure that a coach, like if you go to the gym, I wouldn't want the guy that comes up to me to be, 300 pounds and winded after 30 seconds of talking to me. I want the fit guy or girl that is like doing stuff, doing shit. You know what I mean? I mean, I understand people go and they get degrees and they can sort of tell you what's going on. They don't have to necessarily practice what they preach. Maybe they don't work out, but they know a lot about they know a lot about physiology, physical therapy, the body, weight training. So those people are academics, and that's great. I've seen trainers that are fabulous at that aren't like just ripped to pieces. But I want the people that look and walk the talk, look the part. So they make these people put on airs about being in all these wonderful relationships that they're really not. Behind the scenes, behind the facade, their relationships are falling apart, or they're not even connected with this partner that's supposedly their twin flame. So it gets into all this, and it's just it's wild. It's wild and just disturbing. And they encourage this stalking behavior. And then I think, to me, the most egregious thing that happens is then they decide, because they want to save money and they want to make money, they make it a religion. And this particular guy, who's the head guy with his wife, so they talk about their perfect twin flame relationship. He anoints himself as being Jesus Christ. He is Jesus. And he starts growing. He already has long hair, but he starts growing it. He basically says that he's a Messiah. And then he gets very, very nasty with people. And then the worst thing is they have members who are transgender. And they start labeling people with gender identities. They start giving them their gender identity instead of allowing the person to choose their gender identity, which I know this is a hot topic, but people should be able to have the freedom to do what they want. Nobody should tell anyone, in my opinion, what gender they are. They need to work that out themselves. Just my opinion. It is what it is. They start assigning gender roles to people, and it gets very convoluted. And I think the biggest thing for me in watching the film was that, and I know trans people. I've done film work with trans people. It really gives that whole thing a bad name, and it wraps this cult up into this whole mess with people, and it just puts a really bad stain on it. And one of the things I loved the filmmakers do is they talked about people. In the end, they put a disclaimer up giving statistics about transgenderism, and because it really vilifies it. And it vilifies it because these people are trying to make money off of it. They're like, oh, this is a trending topic, so we're going to talk about this. And we're going to start making our twin flames now this. They keep evolving, and it's like you can never, It's always a rug pull with the groups because that's how these high control groups work. Once you get your footing, they rug pull you again, so you're just unstable. It's how narcissistic, abusive relationships work. They're always changing the rules behind your back, and you're like, well, wait a minute, I thought we were doing this, and now we're doing this. That's what happens, and it just dives into this whole territory of just it's very, very bad. And the worst thing is that, they still have 40 or 50,000 members that are a part of their Facebook group, or maybe it's 70. It's crazy. And they just, they swear it's not a cult. It's very disturbing. It's very disturbing. Speaking of obsessions and cult-like behavior, Americans are apparently obsessed with where Taylor Swift is going to eat. Apparently, she's not somebody who dines out a lot because she's Taylor Swift. And honestly, she can't go anywhere without being mobbed. And as you know, most celebrities and people that go out to eat in these very fancy New York City restaurants are doing it to be seen, or if they're a celebrity, they're reminding people, hey, I'm still here and you're flush with cash, and hey, come buy my movies or come see my television, come see my movie, come watch my television show, et cetera, come to my Broadway play, whatever it is. Apparently people are very obsessed with who and where, who, what she's dining, she's eating, all of this. And it's obviously, it's a headline story in New York Magazine. And I could not care less. And I'm not even really going to give it any airtime. I just found it was funny. It says, quote, she eats, she pays, she gets the F out. Servers, bartenders, and owners explain what happens when Taylor Swift visits their New York City restaurants. So this whole Taylor Swift factor has been obviously a phenomenon. And I think I've mentioned on this program before, I worked with her and she was very, very young, 2009. She's been linked to a football player from the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Kelce, and that's created a lot. And she's going to football games, and Swifties are mobbing the football games and mobbing the social media, and just all of a sudden very interested in the Kansas City Chiefs. Which I'm over the Kansas City Chiefs as a football fan. They're a great team, but I'm over all of this. But the Swifties are very interested in what goes on and buying tickets and to football games, and it's pretty nutty. Even Tara's younger nieces are all about the Kansas City Chiefs and about football now because of Taylor Swift, which is also a very cool. I mean, as much as I'm kind of bagging on it, it is actually kind of a cool phenomena. People obviously you wouldn't say Taylor Swift fans are necessarily hardcore football fans, but it's expanding people's horizons. And honestly, for that, I think that's kind of cool. I mean, as much as I might find it annoying because I have issues with the team as a sports fan, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. I mean, people are expanding their horizons, and it's kind of cool. And Taylor Swift I don't know if you guys have ever seen her documentary. I know there's many documentaries that have been out, but this one came out during the pandemic. It's fabulous. She's ridiculously talented and gifted, and just a very, very cerebral artistically, and just, yeah, she's pretty badass. So, much respect to Taylor, but people are obsessed with where she's going to eat in New York City and who she moves and sits with. It's very, very funny to me. So I saw that pop up on the headlines. Mover Nation. Another thing that is creeping up is I am fast approaching my deadline. I booked my tickets yesterday to go to shout out Deborah Newell for the wonderful Christmas present for Tara and I. So she's coming back to Ohio with me, which will be interesting. I'm like, look, it's kind of slow there, just so you know. It's not fancy Southern California, but we'll see what happens. But I reached out yesterday on the good old mobile device to the Reverend from my father's prison, because about 2 weeks ago, and I've been telling you guys, log on and I had written my father some letters. I used to use an app called JPay to be in contact with my father in prison. Now, I this year had sent him an email for his birthday, which was on May the 1st, reaching out to him, and he had responded. I did not look at the response, but I went on about 2 weeks ago because somebody had posted, maybe not 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. Somebody had posted on my Facebook page, which I don't check Facebook very often. But somebody had said, haven't heard from Doc, which is my father is known as in prison because he was a doctor. They call him Doc. Everybody has a nickname in prison. It is what it is. And I haven't heard from him for a while. So, of course, my anxiety and just, I hope he's okay. You know, it's a weird, like I've said before in many episodes, it's very complicated being in my position and dealing with a father and who's done some really horrific things, obviously, not only to my mother, but to me as well and my family and, you know, all the chaos. That's why I even have this channel. There we go. You guys know the story. I don't need to get into it. You know, I still obviously feel very, you know, I worry about him. And so when that person said that they hadn't heard from him, hadn't got a response, I log on to the JPay app. And at first I thought it was because I got a new phone that it didn't transfer over, but I went to the app and all the emails were gone, which is a major bummer because I was hoping to have those and I've never saved them or printed most of them out. So kind of a bummer. I'm going to see if there's a way to recover them somehow. Maybe I can call the service. I'm sure I could pay some money and get printouts if I want. They are in business to make money after all. But apparently the service cut off with the prison that my father is incarcerated in. So having direct contact with him, which was very easy at one point, is not so easy anymore. So I reached out to the chaplain who my father worked for, who is not in I don't think he was in the film. In fact, we were going to interview with him and they would not let us. That's what happened. And he responded to me last night, and which I thought was really weird because it's Ohio weather and, or Ohio weather. Oh boy, Ohio weather. Yeah, I'm getting prepared for it. But he did respond to me and he said, and he's a pastor, as I said, a reverend. And he says, "Good evening, Bumper." Now, Bumper is the name that my father has always called me. I've talked about it on the show many, many times. It's a nickname. It's when I grew up in a naval base in Dahlgren, Virginia. "Good evening, Bumper. Hope you are doing well and prospering. I am retired from prison ministry and am preaching in local church and actively helping people in need. May God bless you." So I had hoped that I could get a message to sort of reach out because I am wanting, and I'm going to have to call the Department of Corrections and find out to see if I am still on the visitation list, because I think when I go back home, I'm going to go see my father. And I don't know how I feel about that, because it's been a very long time. And I don't know. And it's not really like a closure thing or anything like that. It's most certainly not that. But it is like I feel like I should check in and see him, but I'm also worried about him being infirmed. I don't know what condition he's in the prison. Now, I did communicate with my aunt on my father's side about a week ago, or a week and a half ago, whenever this email debacle happened. I think it was like a week and a half ago. And she had heard from him on October 24th or October 22nd. And God, that hair is terrible. And she had, he is supposedly getting the Supreme Court of the United States, the Supreme Court of the state of Ohio to hear his case. A couple of years ago, he had gone on a podcast and said that he had found technicalities in paperwork for his sentencing, which I'm sure we'll all see with this Charlie Adelson case too, or Adelson case, and all these things. You know, there's a lot of technicalities that people try to find in situations when they're guilty and they don't want to be in prison, right? So apparently he was claiming that there was a date not filled in at the proper time, date after the fact, and yada yada. But apparently he believes that that he is convinced the Ohio State Supreme Court is going to hear his case to let him out of prison. So I'm kind of curious about that, and I want to talk about that, and I want to see if I can get him on the show, at least get him on the phone. It would make for interesting comments in the chat, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think I'm going to try to see him, but again, I think you think about in life, you know, the last time you see someone. Okay, well that's the last memory I had from him. Last memory I have is like hugging my father, telling him I love him, and him walking out of the room and me there with a film crew, and that was it. Does that feel like this is the way that this should end? Or does it feel like I should go back and see him? Because I don't know if he was, it sounded like from what he wrote that he's still a stable mind, which again, I've said many times, I hope this man lives to 120 because then I got a shot to making it to at least 70 or 80 in a sound mind and body. But I do worry about that. Am I prepared to see him in that light? Like I kind of want like a heads up, like, is he okay? Is he in a wheelchair? Is he infirmed? I don't know. These are all the things that are racing through my head, and I got to figure it out in the next 3 weeks, like what I'm going to do, or less than 3 weeks. I got to figure it out when I go out to Ohio, like what all that looks like. And if I could even see him at all. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know if I've been taken off the visitation list. I know that I am not in a good friendly standing with with the Ohio Department of Corrections based upon my film. So you know, I'm definitely contemplating what that looks like. 'Cause I don't know. It would be easier if the stupid email worked and I could just fire off an email and get communication. Because I don't need anything for closure. And it's not like I'm looking for closure. I'm just sort of like, oh, it's been a while. I'd like to just sort of check in with him and just, I don't know. It's that human element, right? You want to make sure somebody is okay. I don't know. It's not an enviable position to be in, that's for sure. Yeah, it's a lot. And as I think about things, even as he's older, right? So I would normally go and I would normally buy things out of the vending machine. So do I got to worry about like his health? Can he get stuff out of the vending machine? All this stuff, the sugar, diabetes. Like, what does that look like? I know he had sent me a health report a couple of years ago, which is now gone and, disappeared into the ether. So I don't know what's up with that. Like, there's a lot of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah. Kim Shorin, I am conflicted indeed. Yes. And oh boy. Yes. Lo mejor para vos, buena suerte. Dios te ayudo. Yes, thank you. Muchas gracias, Yanina Cueva. Claro que sí. She says, all the best to you and good luck. God will help you on your way. If that were me in the next 2 weeks, I would be filled with acid reflux and IBS. Yeah, that would be acid reflux and IBS. Thank God I don't have either one of those. Actually, you know what? I ate some coconut macaroons last night, like 11 o'clock. I woke up not feeling great. I didn't sleep great, but I think that has to do with the sugar, which is very, very bad. I've gone off my diet in the last couple of weeks just for whatever reason. It's the holidays and whatnot. I still go to the gym, but I've gone off my diet. And I had some macaroons last night, and I would not recommend. It's like eating sugar before bed is eating sugar is not good anyways, but eating sugar before bed is not. It's like god awful. Thank you so much, Bonifacio. Oh, wow. On the outskirts. Call your Landry. At the end of the day, still your father. And we can do for family within letting him steal your joy. Yeah, absolutely. Wow. That's a lot on the outskirts. I'm sorry to hear. It's very conflicted, right? It's very conflicting. How is the tattoo healing? Says Black Widower. It is healing. Now that this will be done, I can finally do my tattoo video that I want to do for all the patrons and everything. But yeah, it's still scabbing, but it's healing up. My tattoo artist bailed on me yesterday. He was supposed to finish up a couple of other things, and he bailed, and he's now on his way to Savannah, Georgia, which really kind of pissed me off. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Seema Talk, you said coconut macaroons from the boardwalk. Jennifer Lewis, yes, without him letting him steal your joy, you don't have to become best friends. Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Thank you, Black Widower. Hi, Terry Fairfield. Thank you so much. Yeah, I try to offer the introspective sort of stuff, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Wasn't worth it, huh? What was not worth it? Sarah Holman, wasn't worth it, huh? You mean the tattoo? Oh no, the tattoo was well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. I love my tattoos, and the guy does a fabulous job. Which I'm bummed that he's leaving Los Angeles, but you know, whatever. I would be leaving Los Angeles if it looked like this all the time. I think we're in for a rainy and cold holiday season and start to next year. That's, you know, we had atmospheric rivers earlier in the year, which brought massive amount of rain, which California is, by the way, officially out of a drought, which is an amazing, you know, accomplishment. Absolutely. But, yeah, I'm not a fan of the rain. I am not a fan of the cold. It's why I don't live anywhere else. I like my sunshine. I like my ocean. I like my outdoorsy stuff. That's what I'm into. Cold and rain, not so much. Not to kvetch, but, you know, we don't pay all this high rents, high gasoline, high food prices, deal with congestion and traffic and irritable people to sit in the rain and cold. We are very lucky. You get very spoiled when you live out here. I mean, that's just the truth. Busby, to you. Did you get a chance to watch the footage I sent you? I'd love your thoughts on it. Busby, to you, did you send the video of the child that was testifying? Because I have that in the queue to watch, and I've sent it to somebody else who has watched part of it. Yes. So, yeah, it's happening. It's very interesting. That's for sure. 6 years old. That's pretty crazy. It ended up being a really good experience despite our tremendous differences and challenging past. Oh, Kim Shorn, what are we? I saw my birth mother a couple weekends ago for the first time in over. Whoa! I saw my birth mother a couple weekends ago for the first time in over 10 years. To say that it was trepidatious would be an understatement. Yeah, I'm sure. That's a big step. Congratulations, Kim Shorn, for taking that step. Look, I'm here to let you all know that it's all going to be all right. You can go through crazy. You know, as I always say, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not law enforcement. I'm just a guy who's been through a lot of shit. I can make it through the shit. So can you. That's just how it all works. So congratulations on confronting that demon, because a lot of people don't do it. They check out and they do, you know, look, I haven't seen my father in 6 years or whatever it is. So, and again, it's sort of like, is that the finality is the last time I see him? Like, he was able-bodied, he was this it's kind of what I'm going through, in my head. Just my opinion. You did nothing wrong. Just trying to find out how he is. You have extended my love to this man rather than hatred. Follow your heart. Oh, thank you so much. Cat loves cat skills. I think that's a positive way to look at it. But congratulations on taking that step. I love the cold and rain. It's snuggle weather. I know. And by the way, Marisol, who had a birthday over the weekend, 11/11 was Marisol's birthday. And she is a big girl now. She is 1 year old. She does not like the rain either. But she just would not go outside and go do her potties, which is what she's supposed to do. And she's just looking at me like, why are we out here in the rain? And I'm like, hey, bud, this is it. But of course, she doesn't hurry up. Busby, to you. Okay, cool. Got it. Karen Fan, we lived in Southern Cali a few years. Yeah, I love Southern California. I love living here. I love living here. You get very, I got very spoiled very quickly living out here because, yeah, the weather's like always beautiful. I live right on the coast. It's amazing. But yeah, it's really gray and ugly outside right now. I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan of this time of year either, to be honest with you. I don't like when it gets dark early. Not a fan. I get up now at between 5 and 5:30 so I can catch the daylight. Actually, this morning I was up at 5 and the daylight it wasn't quite sunrise yet. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I could sleep in a little later. I don't like the shortened days. Not a fan at all. Not a fan. Coffee Buzz, did you give the silicone cupcake mold back? I did give the silicone cupcake mold back. Yes, before she could tear into it too, because she'll destroy that. Yeah. Marisol and her little cupcake. Which that cupcake video, a lot of people like that cupcake video. At least I'm in Michigan and my father's in California, so he won't likely come to my house. Yeah, I don't think he's coming anywhere. I don't think he can get out of the state. But again, doesn't make it any less hard for you to deal with on the outskirts. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough stuff. Tough stuff. I like the cooler weather myself personally. I get hot pretty easily. Yeah, I could live in warm weather forever. I could live in warm weather forever. I could live in Arizona. I could live in the desert. I like all of that. So. You can always go visit Savannah. It's a beautiful city. I know. I told the tattoo artist, I was like, I'll have to come visit you, and he's like, well, you can stay at my house. I'm trying to think if I have been to Savannah, Georgia. I told him I wasn't sure. I have been to Savannah, and yeah, it is very pretty. I love that old Southern charm and those houses and everything. It's pretty cool. Blackwater says, I'm kind of sick in the rain. I'm kind of sick of the rain in Ireland, but not saying it out loud. Karen Fan, I live in Missouri, and I do not like the colder snow. Yeah, Missouri. Yeah, no, not so much. Yes, so Old Lady Snoop, that was my thing. So I wasn't going to mention that, but yes, Carrie Rawson's experience of seeing her father in a wheelchair and not being able to really talk. Yeah, that kind of put me off the subject a little bit. It's exactly what I was thinking. I just didn't, and that is what's causing my reticence. Absolutely. Because I thought about that and I thought, oh, I'm not really prepared to see that. I don't know. If that's the case, but again, that man could be walking around and just, fine. So who knows? Again, I hope for option B. I hope he is like running sprints around the place. That would bode well for my longevity. That's for sure. Oh man. I'm glad that you felt like that it worked out for you, and that you're glad you went to see your birth mother, Kim Shoren. Fear not. Thankfully, once the solstice comes again, the days will get longer. Yeah, absolutely. They will. I count down to that, by the way. That's December 30th or December 21st, correct? The shortest day of the year. I literally have those days like embedded in my brain. Yeah, I count like I have like the countdown, like, okay, Thanksgiving. Okay, now it's less than a week from a month away. So it's like what, 40 or 36 days away. Yeah, I'm excited. Not a fan. Not a fan of the short days. I'm so Canadian. I love the cold and snow, but not the ice. Yeah, no. I mean, cold and snow is beautiful though too. Do I think it was my dad? Do I think it was my dad in the toilet with a note as a kid? I don't know what that is. Lightning on Velvet. Do you think it was your dad in the toilet with a note as a kid? I don't know. I don't know what you mean by that. We're finally getting San Diego weather here in Florida. Oh yes, I know you don't like that. Clearly you have, Collier, old lady soup. Clearly you have great genes. Hopefully your longevity is just as charmed as your gorgeous face. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. You are so loved. And I'm glad you're counting down too, Kim Shorin. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think I've told you guys about that. I do the speed bag at the gym, which is the boxing bag. You've seen the videos. And one of the guys that like had show whose bag I was hitting, he's this guy named Jimmy, an older guy. I came to find out he's 77 years old. And his buddy that he does the speed bag with is 80, almost 81. And those guys are in that gym. And I'm just staring at them. I'm like, that is amazing. Like they are just moving and grooving around, like hip, cool. And Jimmy smokes 3 cigarettes a day, he says. Because the guy who's 81, almost 81, he's like, don't smoke. He's like, no stress. I think I maybe said this before. No stress. Yeah, eat right. Get your sleep. Sleep is a big thing, and exercise, and and don't smoke. And then Jimmy's like, well, I smoke 3 cigarettes a day, but I'm healthy. I would add to that, don't drink alcohol too. That is not good for your longevity either. There's been a lot of research that's been coming out about that as well. This whole like 1 drink a day or 3 drink, maximum, like it's all bad for you. It's just bad for you. It's poison. That's why you get drunk. Alcohol is poison. Not shaming anyone that drinks. I was a drinker for a long time. I get it. It works for some people. Some people it doesn't work. And I'm glad I stopped. What, was going to be, what was like a month has now been over 3 years. So, I was like, I'll quit for a month, and 3 years later, here we are. Very good decision. Just you feel better. But so if anybody's struggling with that, give it a try. Try it for a month. See what happens. You'll be pleasantly surprised, especially when it comes to your sleep. Like, God, I feel really well rested. God, nothing hurts. No joints hurt. Man, that's fabulous. Dr. MLS, are you afraid you will regret if you don't go to see him? I'm assuming. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, Black Widow, thank you so much. So, I have a CBD sponsor, but their sponsorship is over with, but you can check it out. NextEvo Naturals. If you go, so I have been obviously using CBD for, managing my anxious feelings and managing my sleep. And I've been using NextEvo Naturals Premium CBD, which you guys can get by going to nextevo.com/MPT. You get 25% off your purchase by using my code MPT. That's NextEvo.com/MPT. Check it out. It's a fabulous, fabulous product. It has been helping it's been doing wonders for my sleep. Their nighttime triple action CBD formula is chef's kiss. www.nextevo.com/MPT to get 25% off your order. Use code MPT. Anyways, yeah, I don't think CBD is allowed in Australia, but yeah, it is good, and I would definitely recommend taking the CBD over antidepressants, but that's just me. Yeah, good stuff. Anyways, Mover Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. This is the Collier Landry Show, and I want to say thank you to all my Patreon supporters, all my supporters here on YouTube, channel members. Remember, the Sunday after Thanksgiving for channel members and Patreon supporters, we have our members only meet and greet that will be at 7 p.m. Eastern time on the last Sunday of every month. We're going to do some cool stuff that's coming up. Collier's AV Club, the audiovisual club, talk about some movies, talk about some documentaries. We'll all watch them. We'll all comment. It'll be fabulous. Also remember, tomorrow, no live on Thursday. Next live will be on Sunday at 3 p.m. At 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific. Stay tuned for channel details. I will post about it so you guys can check. I'm revamping this live schedule per the YouTube's algorithms and fun things like that. Also, these lives will be disappearing and going into the members section after about 48 hours. So that's will kind of be the thing. You'll see. Well, I'm figuring all this out with the channel as I continue to expand it and stuff. And new video going to be dropping tonight or tomorrow morning, probably tomorrow morning, about Donna Adelson and this weird connection, and Ruth Markel and her take on Donna Adelson. So check it out. On that note, Mover Nation, we get through another one. I'm Collier Landry, and this is the Collier Landry show. I'll see you in the next one.
This podcast is made possible by support from listeners just like you. For exclusive content around this podcast, please consider supporting me via Patreon by going to collierlandry.com/support. Please subscribe via Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from, and please leave us a 5-star review. If you want to see video episodes of this podcast, please check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/collierlandry. You can find links to additional resources in the show notes of today's episode. This podcast is a production of Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Collier Landry.